Hi, you've clicked on to today's tropical tidbit for Sunday. Still not a whole lot going on in the Atlantic, but we've got a couple areas to kind of look at. Still skeptical about this area over here in the eastern Atlantic. A lot of dry air around, and it's got an upper trough hindering it right now, but we'll continue watching it anyway. NHC has this hatched yellow in here, and we'll keep a kind of a wary eye on that. Our main feature of interest is a monsoonal circulation cell trying to develop over here east of Nicaragua. You can see a little bit of a low pressure spin beginning to develop over here, and this is going to be something that we're going to be watching over the next few days. It's probably going to come up like this into Central America and then kind of end up in this area, turning a little bit farther west in a few days. And this is an interesting situation now because yesterday we had pretty decent model support for development of a tropical storm that developed strongly and came into this area as a rather strong hurricane on a lot of the models, although some didn't really get onto the train, but a lot of them did, and we had pretty good support. And then we, for some reason, overnight last night lost all of that support, or almost all of it, and now the models are a bit more skeptical. If you look at the GFS out to day 7, it develops it in the eastern Pacific now, and this is a big tone change from what it was showing in all previous runs. The European, which was never horribly excited about this, is still actually showing it up here. This is day 3, and the variance in the ensemble number shows you where the ones that do have it show it up here, but notice the purples aren't very deep over here, and a lot of the European models don't think it'll develop at all, but the ones that do have it up here by day 3, and by day 6 it drifts southwest, and then by day 10, there it is, Yucatan Channel, but this is not very many runs showing it up here. Very few like to see that up there. Now the upper air pattern is still the same idea that we've been talking about. This is day 3 on the European ensembles. You see the trough in the east over here. You see the variance where the storm could be over here, and you notice how there's a weakness in here, and this is supposed to draw the monsoonal circulations down here. If it draws this north a little bit as the trough comes across, slowly, not rapidly, and this is not a recurve, but it gets drawn north just a hair, and then by day 6, notice the trough leaves, you get this ridge building over the top, and then the storm would get turned west like this for a time beneath the ridge, and then by day 9 you can see where it thinks the storm may be. The ridge is progressive, so it moves out over here to the southeast Atlantic coast. You get another trough coming in, and you can start recurving it back out over here, and this has been the Europeans' idea for a while, and the other models were showing this. Now the GFS is more excited about the eastern Pacific. So now again, if we ask ourselves, does it make sense to have a storm form in here? The answer is still yes, because of the reasons described about the Southern Oscillation Index having a burst that's coming across the Pacific, and we have the MJO coming back in, and we're going to get convergence and upward motion back into the Caribbean. But now we also have to ask ourselves, if we're losing model support, does it make sense to not have the development in here in the Caribbean, or does it make more sense to have it in the Eastern Pacific? Well, it does. It is possible with the SOI burst coming across. You get westerly winds coming across. First, the Eastern Pacific is going to get the convergence before the Western Caribbean gets it. The Caribbean has the monsoonal cell, but notice we're getting some spin in here in the Eastern Pacific as well. And as the westerly winds come across, it is possible we will get more competition in here. The GFS wasn't showing that before, but it would make sense. We'd get some convection and competition of low pressure in here, which would try to draw this in and wind it up farther southwest. And it's also possible that as the trough aloft comes across and the ridge builds in behind it, that temporarily there's an area where the upper airs are converging. It might suppress convection over here and temporarily focus upward motion more down here towards the Eastern Pacific, although I don't think that effect will be too detrimental, too strong. It is a possibility that the models might be trying to see that. However, they're not giving up entirely. If you look at the GFS ensembles, in their own way, they're still telling us to keep an eye on this. We see by day 5, look at the bomb of precipitation. If you can see my cursor down here, east of Nicaragua, still sitting there after several days, which is kind of impressive. And we go out to day 8, notice where it has moved to over here in the Gulf of Honduras, and yes, look, see there's competition in the Eastern Pacific, and this is why the model ends up winding up stuff over here on the operational run. And then we go out to day 9, you can see where the low is northeast of Belize, or where it should be, and then by day 10 you see the moisture sort of getting strung out over here. You can see this up here, which indicates a front, which means you're going to get your corridor of moisture out of the tropics over here, and this is where you could try to draw some sort of tropical mischief out of the Caribbean and affect the southeast United States. But this is still rather iffy looking on the model, but you can see what happens where it brings the precipitation bomb up towards Central America and then tries to take it out. And this is the general idea that I still think is going to happen, is that you'll get something to start to go in here, might move inland, come up, turn west, might tangle with Central America for a while, but then get pulled out eventually. I'm still thinking that this will get pulled out because it is mid-October now, and we're going to start getting these troughs in here and digging this stuff out. So I'm still leaning away from the Eastern Pacific idea. Still think it'll be more of a Central Pacific tangle development that still remains weighted on the Atlantic side and will eventually get pulled out somehow. But details, again, can't be known quite yet. But it is something we should continue to watch and see if we get model support back. Just because they backed off doesn't mean that it's suddenly a done deal and we don't have to worry about it. We still need to watch this area of the world because that SOI burst does mean that mischief is possible. And if we also go out now, look at the MJO forecast once again, see the upward motion developing over the Central Atlantic, pretty nice bomb of it east of the Caribbean over here by day 15, and looking at the operational run again, look for lowering of pressures in this area, Eastern Caribbean, Central Atlantic, a place we need to watch after Richard, or if there is a Richard, leaves this area. We start looking to the east and notice what the operational run has now. Still showing low pressure, rather consistent solution now with these lowering pressures in here, so we'll still have to watch to see if we get one more system from east of 60 west before the month is out, and that would be interesting to see, so we will have to continue to watch for that. I also want to quickly mention over here, remind folks about what's going on in the Western Pacific. This is Super Typhoon Maggie over here, extremely powerful typhoon. We got sustained winds estimated at 180 miles per hour, gusts over 220, and this is a pretty massive and catastrophic storm. Dvorak estimates have the pressure at sub 900 millibar levels and 155 knot winds. This is a very bad storm coming southwest around the ridge into Luzon, the northernmost island of the Philippines, and this is going to be a very bad storm for them. Forecast track has it as a Cat 5 moving onshore, coming across, weakening, and then re-strengthening, coming towards perhaps China or this area of the world. And again, more than it shows the teleconnection here that we talked about the last couple of days for Eastern North America, but more than that, this is just going to be a bad storm for the Philippines, and our prayers are with these folks, as this will be making landfall within 10 to 12 hours, and this is going to be a very bad situation for these guys, so we will be thinking of them. Alright, that is it for today. Thanks for watching.